Welcome back to a presentation here in the Issues Room. Today is July 21st, Tuesday, 2026 is the year, and it's good to be back with you. I'm Volcano Shelton. I will be joined very shortly by my colleague, Alfonso Yuno. At this time, I'd like to welcome all of you wherever you are. A pack conversation here tonight. Quickly, let me make sure that the broadcast is trending without any interruption because sometimes we have connectivity issues with microphones and we sometimes have a glitch. So just want to make sure. Give me less than 30 seconds to prove it. Okay, so everything looks good. Welcome again. Um, the Issues Room is here on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we invite you to join us then and continue to encourage others. Please share our link. Please share the show. Love us, like us, and follow us. We can be called on Facebook, and we're also on LinkedIn. So join us here on YouTube as well. So please share the show tonight. We have three important topics. As you and I know, Liberia um, is constantly in the news, and today we had another drug burst in the country involving two foreigners, one Colombian and a Spanish. Um, 15 jurors ordered arrested by Judge Usman Fekai for alleged juror tampering, and we also know that Finda Bondo, the rescue mother, goes to jail at the South Beach. So those are the things we're going to be talking about. Let me quickly welcome Alfonso. Alfonso, welcome to the podcast. We have a stack show.
Definitely, Volcano. I'm glad to be here. And to our listeners, as Volcano says, it's going to be a very tight and interesting broadcast and conversation. So join us, participate in the conversation, and invite others to join as well.
Thank you. Because of time, we're going to run right into it. Reports emerging today, July 21st, 2026, indicate that Liberian Joint Security Forces have carried out another major anti-drug operation, this time in Duazon, Magibi County near Monrovia. What has been reported so far, the Joint Security Forces reportedly raided a warehouse in Duazon after receiving intelligence about suspected drug trafficking activities. Authorities say they seized a large quantity of suspected cocaine, with some reports describing it as potentially the largest cocaine seizure in Liberia's history. Officials have not yet released a final confirmed weight or street value. Two foreign nationals, report to be a Colombian and Spanish citizen, were arrested during the operation and are being questioned as part of the investigation. The warehouse is believed to have contained millions of dollars worth of suspected cocaine though authorities are still conducting inventory and forensic testing before announcing the actual figures. The operation comes only weeks after the $19 million cocaine seizure at Rabos International Airport, suggesting that investigators may be widening their efforts against international trafficking networks operating in Liberia. Authorities have not yet officially confirmed whether the two cases are linked, but lately I heard that they are linked. Here's the summary. What is happening in Liberia, Alfonso? Is it because we take everything for granted? Do you know what it means for Volcano Shelton to go to Colombia and be caught with that volume of drugs? Do you know what it means? Even where they're manufacturing it, the punishment to be caught with that volume of drugs is unbelievable. What is happening? Why our country? Why now? And why we have not done anything to make these people afraid? Those guys just look calm and collected. I'm telling you, I'm afraid. What is going on? Joseph Yuma Boakai, the deacon of Effort Baptist Church, the statesman. Is it everything now we gotta wait for logical conclusion? Come on. The fact that you're a foreigner being harbored, living with that volume of drugs, and we'll show the pictures. Come on, man, Alfonso, it scares me.
Yeah, so West Africa, Liberia, West Africa, particularly, the region is in the crosshairs of the drug trade from Latin America. So what has happened and what has been happening is that once you have, I wouldn't say British, the Europeans and the Americans put a tight squeeze and noose on drug trafficking from Latin America, entering their countries. What has been happening is that Latin American drug traffickers have been finding loopholes, have been finding countries or regions with less stringent security, to be able to transit their drugs through there. So West Africa doesn't have the market for the type of drugs that are being found there. So what's happening is that these Latin American countries are using West Africa because of its porous borders, because of the inability of governments and stuff to implement technological detection at our entry points, etc. And in some instances, bribing people in high authorities and all of that, they've been using West Africa as a transit point for them to bring their drugs through West Africa. A, because West Africa is now known to Europe and America as a drug producing, drug trafficking hub. Um, at least not as much as Colombia, for instance. So they pass their drugs through there, and then and then ship it to Europe. As in the case of the last shipment, which was actually bound for Europe, and according to the police director, a previous shipment which was actually sent to London. So that's what's happening. Since 2008 or 2009, ECOWAS countries have been meeting and conferring on how to deal with this issue. They've passed resolutions to cooperate with each other, and that has worked in some instances, and that hasn't worked. But I want to say here that I think the the drug bust today could be linked to the dedication and commitment of the administration to say we're not going to arrest just the first group of people who are transporting the drugs and send them to jail. We're going to follow the trail. We're going to find out where it's coming from. We're going to do deeper intelligence and investigations. And as you said, they not just this bust, but they've also been able to link this bust today with the previous consignment. I think that's what intelligence, networking, and critical investigation on the drug trade against the drug trade should do. We shouldn't just see the mules or the transporters, arrest them, and leave it at that. We should go to the source of it, and we should find the people who are really trafficking this thing and catch them. And
So
I,
what this tells me, Alfonso, is that
yeah,
this place is the warehouse,
yep,
and they're collecting it small, in a Liberian way. They package it. If it ships out of the country without being noticed, then some gone. We'll
yep.
come back again. We'll carry some more. We'll come back again. We'll carry some more. Because the volume of drugs today. Let me go to some of the pictures here quickly and see. Uh, I'm telling you, this just I don't know. I don't know. This is something that we need to really understand, my brother. I'm telling you. So this is the guy. Let me try to see if I can just open here alone. Oh no, I'm trying to get. Goodness, I'm trying to get this guy alone. Mm, 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 mm. I want to get him alone. Come on, guy.
We
You don't
see
want
him.
to.
We
You don't
see
want.
him.
You. I know you can sing, but I want the man to go famous, man. All right. So what I'll do, I'll remove you from the scene, and probably just keep myself because if I remove, I'm not sure if the audience will hear me. But this is the guy, um, and these are the photos. Do you see him on this one?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. And then look at these duffel bags. This is no small amount of drugs here. This is no small amount of drugs. Look at this one. Look at this. Look at this. You can tell from the plastic that is being going through hell just to get to Liberia. And they got Poseidon. It's the name of a sea ship. Look at these drugs. So, back to you, Alfonso. Just for the audience, that's no small amount of drugs, to say the least, that coming in the country. And I'm thinking that again, as I said, all of this drug was brought in, and their packaging is small, small,
Mm-hmm.
because hands are inside
Mm-hmm.
the processing and the exportation. Hands are inside, big hands. I just heard uh, on a corresponding platform, Spoon, that Julius Silly, who is the Liz director, the executive director of Liz, I
Mm-hmm.
think is Liz is a Liberia agency for community empowerment, right? It is the institution that was established. I'm not sure whether it was Ellen or Wea, but it was established to manage government contracts and I believe it's contracts and disbursement of monies for community development, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he's the executive director,
Mm-hmm.
and it's alleged that he's involved. And accordingly, there are other people in the legislature who are involved, and names will be coming up. So, what does this government do? Look, Alfonso, to deter this kind of behavior, you know, sometimes when I talk, I don't want people to think that I'm saying something because I want to be taking our country backwards. But a country like Liberia doesn't deserve democracy right now. A country like Liberia deserves a strong military leader. I'm not kidding you. Because you will not be able to politicize this kind of crap. You will not be able to make a mess around this kind of crap. It's about time for this country to have a strong military leader that will silence some of these things and put people in their places and hold people accountable. I know you're going to get mad at me because you're the Democratic man, but what has democracy done for us? Since 2005, it continued to push our country down the drain because one party comes to steal, the next party comes to steal, the fight to come back to steal, and that's all we're going to be doing. And all of this drug issue is a part of this construct for political gimmick so that they can confuse the poor ordinary voters, and they will just be what? Recycling themselves, getting richer while the poor gets poorer. Because nobody would be so brave. Those two guys would not be so brave to be surviving in a strange country with that quantity of drugs in the country and not be influenced or supported or hidden by some big people in government. There's no way around it. And whether President Barker knows or not, as soon as information surfaces, he needs to take the appropriate action if he really means business. Let me let you come in.
So one of the things that those drug traffickers do, Volcano, is that when they get in a country, they try to build connections with powerful people, people who will protect them. So it is possible. I mean, that has been happening. I did extensive research and did a paper before on Guinea-Bissau because Guinea-Bissau was declared actually a narco state in the region. So Guinea-Bissau is right there with Brazil. They also shared language because they all were Portuguese colonists. So it's easy for the guys to take the drugs into Guinea-Bissau. And then from Guinea-Bissau, they disperse it. So Guinea, that is next to us, Sierra Leone, for example, were major places for transit. Mali also. Once the drugs hit Guinea-Bissau, it gets dispersed. Liberia, lately, it's been happening in Liberia because whatever the case when it started, I don't have the exact years and dates. But what these guys do is a combination of strategies and approaches. When they get in a country, if it's possible for them to link with officials or people who can protect them, they do so. They also do their own thing as well, as long as the system is weak and is unable to detect them, etc., etc. So it's entirely possible that there's a network of Liberians in the country who are facilitating them. I had a conversation with one of my colleagues, well, debate really, the other day when he said, "Oh, the shipper in the first drug bus, you can't blame the shipper. All he does is he receives packages and he ships them." And I said, "Does he not have a responsibility to see at least what's in the packages and stuff? Because if you, or at least get confirmation as to what's in the package, what he's shipping." Why did he allow the packages to sit in his house to be taken from his house? Is his house a shipping agencies, warehouse? So I'm saying all of this to say that there's definitely a possibility that there are enablers and there are people in the country, perhaps in government, who or even outside government but who have government connections, who are facilitating this or who are participating in it is entirely possible. I also do know though that a lot of times what we do is we pass judgments without facts and evidence, and that usually defeats investigations. That undermines stuff. So I would say people will come out as they did in the first instance. Oh, I'm not saying the vice president is not involved, but in the first instance, or the vice president is involved, or the president is involved, or the president's children. Some of these things we shouldn't just take at face value. I think we have investigators. We should insist that our investigation systems are transparent and that they are supported so that they can do really good work at doing the investigation because everybody in the country, the entire country is impacted by this drug situation. One of the things that in my research that they do, they bring the drugs into the country. They help you. I mean, you help them facilitate it in sending it to Europe and America, and they leave some there with the people who help them, and the people sell it locally. So you see a lot of our children using those drugs and stuff. And in some countries, in some instances in West Africa, they've even started setting up. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the not too distant future the Liberian security forces are able to identify some manufacturing sites, because in some other West African countries some of the drug traffickers have even begun setting up sites in the countries to manufacture cocaine and those other narcotics. So I won't be surprised, but I think we need collectively to pressure our government to strengthen our security forces, to strengthen our intelligence, to work with our friends in the West African sub-region and internationally to address this drug trade because it's damaging to our young people, it's damaging to the reputation of our country, and it's damaging to the economy of the country.
When I consider the whole thing here, because of we've taken many things for granted, right? And I think the drug and the proportion of how far it's gone, it almost seemed as though we would catch these things, but how are we addressing them for the open space? Because this drug, you want to openly destroy them so that it becomes convincing. You don't want to, oh yeah, we'll carry it, we'll confiscate it for evidence, and we'll do XYZ, and who knows what happened to the drugs after that. What is going to happen to these guys? They're going to hire a lawyer, they're going to go into, getting enough money to bribe and to get out of the country. So what is the deterrent there? Now it would take only goodwill, um, police officer, LDEA, guys who really love their country, who love their job, who want to see the country do well, to really do this without corruption, because they're not being paid well. And so it's almost like compelling for them to be enticed, right? And if folks at a higher up who holds the purse, who makes the decision to sustain their jobs and all of that, some of these things become compromised. So how do we really come around making sure that we can address this from a holistic perspective, but also giving the public the confidence in the government? Because this is all about fire come here today, the house is burning, and we see the house burning. What the fire service come out, they throw in some water, but the house is burnt, and that's it. So that's what it sounds like. We are excited. There's a drug burst. Oh, and we investigating and we're doing this. But man, those two men right now, they're supposed to be hung upside down from a tree. The fact that the fact that they're in Liberia with all that drug, that's what I'm saying. And first, imagine me being caught in Colombia today with just a small price of drug. Needless to say, sitting in a compound with all this drug.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something to really, really. It's scary because again, there could be a lot of different houses, compounds in that country, and as I said, they keep it there and they're ready to go to the packaging point. They package it and they try to get it out of the country, and they were going to keep doing that for a period of time, and other people are benefiting, other people are enjoying, and if this last guy is his hand is involved, then I don't know what else to say. Then how many other people who are benefiting from this? Now, the argument here is that, oh, Liberians can't afford to buy cocaine. But the fact that you just said that if I am able to help them get the drugs out and they don't have the physical cash, they'll say, well, man, yeah, try to see how you can localize it and sell it, right? As soon as some people who can afford it start to taste it and they get hooked, then it's a new market for it. And there's affordability in Liberia. Let no one confuse the situation. There is affordability in Liberia. People cry no jobs, but when you go to drinking spots and you see people go to D Calabash, to all of the top places, every day up to Sunday into Monday morning, you be wondering where they're taking the money from. So yes, money is in the country. So nobody should say, oh no, the Liberian market for cocaine is not there. It's not true.
Yeah, it's not as large as other markets, but indeed people are using those drugs in Liberia. And as I said earlier, in my research, one of the things that people do, they bring the drugs, for example, in that warehouse, the people who own the place or the people who might be collaborating with them get paid. Some of the way they get paid is that they get part of the drugs, and they get part of the drugs. So they sell on the local market. Of course, they're not going to sell at the price that is sold in London or whatever. So definitely there is affordability and there is usage in Liberia. And we see the symptoms. We see what's happening to young people, and other people standing in the streets. We got drug ghettos and all of that. So definitely it's also being used in Liberia, if not at the same scale as in other countries, and definitely there's a market, if not at the same scale as in other developed countries, advanced economies. But there is a market, and we see the destruction that that market is causing on our country, on our young people, and those who have become addicted to the drugs. So that is a situation that needs to be addressed. I also do think, Volcano, that we do have the institutions, and we don't need a military government to address it. We just need committed and dedicated people, to address the systems.
Listen to
Governments,
me. Listen to me.
I
Listen to
hear
me.
you.
You were coming. You were coming. You got your point. I know. It is this whole crap about democracy.
Mm.
It is this whole crap about political parties, opposition and imposition, opposition and imposition. That is why we're not getting anywhere. When you shut all of this thing down, people will get serious. That's the only thing I'm talking about here. Because while we may have the democracy for fluidity, how fluid it is and how is it working for us when everything is politicized? That's the point I'm driving. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I think yeah, we have the structures in place. No governments around the world are not the highest salary payers everywhere in the world. Even the great United States and the federal government and state governments, they don't make the most money. People in private sectors do. So I think what we need is a dedicated group of public servants, but we also do need systems and structures that around them to make sure that they succeed and to make sure that when they themselves decide to circumvent the process or to engage in some corrupt acts, that they can be caught as well. So we need to build a web of accountability. Be accountable institutions, but we also need accountable individuals in those institutions. And the way to do it is to create check on each and every one of them so that they carry out their job effectively. And when they do, let's recognize them as well. There's a tendency for us to always
So then
criticize.
just go ahead and read Amos Squire, queer
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. It may be at a slow pace, but given what we know, we should celebrate and commend the security forces. And I agree with Aaron. I really do. These, let's say, if the security institutions were so compromised and so corrupt, they don't. Then we wouldn't have these drug busts. Then we wouldn't have these major drug busts. Then they would take the bribes that are needed. Then they will tip off these guys. Some of them will go and tip off these guys and say, hey, we're planning to come and raid you. Move the drugs, leave the country, do this. So, in as much as we, and I say we in terms of the government people of Liberia, but also in as much as the government security forces are seizing these heavy consignments and drugs, it means that there's progress being made. A, because you know they're not being spread across the country. B, they're not being shipped out of the country. C, they can be destroyed. And D, people can get arrested and prosecuted for that. So I agree with Brother Quia. Let's commend them so that in the future other agents and stuff who see these things happening can also be motivated to at least arrest the people, or if they cannot arrest the people, sound an alarm. But if we're always just beating on them, that's also not motivation enough as well.
So Jones Marley is asking here. He said, "Does the government of Liberia have any strategic plan of action in place to stop the huge narcotic flow in Liberia?" Uh, I don't know. I mean, with the continued burst, I think they're beginning to think about it now that it seems to be an existential threat to the to the country. So I would think that as part of the investigation, they should begin to, you know, put plans in place as to how they're going to address this, and not just addressing it, but also to curb it, and make Liberia a no-go zone for drugs. Now, I think everybody talks about the vulnerability of our borders, and while we think that we have only two major ports of entries, the free port of Monrovia and the Roberts International Airport, but Liberia 343,000, is it 343,000 square miles?
I think
Yeah,
that's why
yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking.
3,043,000. Oh no, it's 43,000 square miles. Put it that way. The 43,000 square miles is acceptable, right? Any point of Liberia where it's being bordered with any nation, even our sea coast, there are many places on the sea coast that people don't go to. Look, that 300 of territorial or ocean waters that run from Grand Cape Mount to Maryland, there are some untapped places where people don't go, and those places can be entry points. So many. We don't even have the sophistication of naval activity in the country, coast guards patrolling our major waters. So we really in a serious mess, and that is why that vulnerability of our borders across the length and breadth of the country makes it compelling for the government to begin to retool and begin to look for international partners like the great United States of America under this leadership that walked into a country and seized a whole president. We should begin to do that. Partner with the American government, partner with the international community, and show interest as a government and people that we mean well for ourselves, and we want to curb this and not allow ourselves to be the transit point or the conduit through which these drugs are, being funneled into other parts of the world. What do you say to that?
Volcano, there was a time not long ago when a huge consignment of drugs was seized at the Sierra Leone border with Liberia. I want to think that you saw that announcement. Sierra Leone, Guinea. If you go online and you try to do a study about the drug trade, particularly from Guinea-Bissau, Mali, and all of those places, they name Sierra Leone, Liberia. So to make your point, this doesn't have to come through the Roberts International Airport. Doesn't have to come through the Freeport of Monrovia. The people can package this as they did with the consignment they were about to ship to London before it was intercepted. They can package this as pepper or lapas or whatever coming from Guinea and simply drive into the country. We,
That's why they put on the packet
yeah,
or the stuff, cocoa.
exactly.
They say cocoa, like we ain't got cocoa.
Mhm. So we
You
have
need to import cocoa, and when
so
you grow cocoa,
we have very porous borders. We don't have the technology to track these things. So that's why I'm hesitant a little bit to say every time there's a drug bust in the country, it must be a government official who brought it in the country or who facilitated it. People can just drive their vehicles across from Ivory Coast, from Guinea, from Sierra Leone, and come into the country anytime. People can walk with low on their head and enter the country, and you don't need thousands of tons of pounds of cocaine. It's very cocaine with a handful or a box full is hundreds and thousands of dollars. So our borders are porous. What we should be doing is pressure our government officials themselves, who run the country, need to understand that we need to strengthen our border points. We need to have more patrol. We need to invest in technology. We need to sniffer dogs. Technology stuff that can scan things and determine what they are. We need to collaborate with people in the sub region and internationally. We need to build the capacity of our security forces. Those are and our investigators, our law enforcement, and our drug enforcement people. Those are the things that we need to do and we need to invest in. We need to do public education as well, so that we can enlist the public in this fight against drugs and drug trafficking in Liberia.
so quickly, as we leave this topic, my research says that for us to do some correct things, right?
Mhm.
For us to do some correct things, strengthen border and port security, like we're saying,
Yep.
follow the money,
Yep.
follow the money, strengthen intelligence sharing. So it's not just we found it and we're doing the investigation, so we don't want to talk too much. Maybe talk a little bit so that the public can get involved. You know, um, ensure swift and transparent prosecution. So these guys should they be in jail? Then we forget about them, and then somebody slip them out of the country. Because what good it is? Then how does that deter any other prospective cartel member who will want to do same? This is not the first time we've had to deal with this. The Korean guy, right? He walked away. The other guys who were with the $100 million drugs, the court said there was not sufficient evidence. I mean, what sufficient evidence you need? $100 million drugs is sufficient evidence. I mean, what else you need? But these are the things that are supposed to be done. So, I think we have a serious problem on our hands as a nation, and we cannot take it for granted. We need to move and move fast, because quite frankly, this thing again, as I said, is becoming a new picture that could paint a bad picture for our belonging in the community of nations. This can this can hamper our progress that we're striving to make as a country. I'll be honest with you. Among the 20 nations approved for handling visas, Liberia is named, right?
Yep.
But if all of this is happening, that plug could be pulled. It can put a dent on our international image. Some of the goodwill uh, 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 that we could be entitled to as a people and as a country could be stopped. Because the truth is, this government needs to be robust. They need to act and swiftly. All of this fanfare today, the noise made, and everybody chanting and happy and giving praises, but it shouldn't stop with praises. We should actionize those praises by taking the necessary action. And if anybody in the government, because I say this all the time, Alfonso, if you do the right thing, there's no need to be afraid. But if you are involved at the highest level in government, you're already taking corruption money from the poor taxpayer. Then you end up again being involved with drugs. Accordingly, people getting 5 million. Do you know what $5 million can do for somebody? And you getting that $5 million as free as it is. So we need to do something. And the big hands are in it. Cut the big hands. Cut the big hands off. Because otherwise, we'll come back here again with another drug bust, and we'll keep having those drug busts. I still, my inclination tells me, as you come in to wrap up on this topic, that more drugs are in Liberia. That's just a tip of the iceberg. More drugs are in Liberia. There are places where they are being warehoused, and it's just a matter of trying to get it out of the country in hook or crook. And thank God for this other burst. And I think if the government deems necessary to feel suspicious about certain places compound and they see strange people, they need to act. They need to move on. It's not just look, one of the group of people that are very involved in drugs in Liberia are the Nigerians and the Fulanese. It's no secret. It's no secret. And you have thousands of Nigerians in Liberia. They're there under the disguise of doing businesses, but they're more into drugs. The Fula guys, you see the little coffee and tea shop, don't overlook it. They're handing the thing on the table. And the DEA, accordingly, should know some of these things because the people talk about it in the community. So I just wanted us to really focus on how we can address this stuff because it's not going away. I think it's the new wave of what we have to deal with as a people, as a government, as a country. But the potential for us to tint our status in the community of nations is what I'm concerned about. Because we were making progress, and now this by itself, it doesn't look good for the news when it emanates out of Liberia.
Yeah. Perhaps I think the seizure and arrest of people in the last drug bust could have led to intelligence in discovering this one. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm simply assuming. Again, um, as you said correctly, and as I've said before, we need to enlist everybody. We need to enlist the public. We need to, enlist our partners in the region, ECOWAS countries, the U.S. with intelligence, the British people with their intelligence and their support. And we need technology. We need a technology. I think one of the listeners said earlier, we need drug sniffing dogs. That's important. We need scanners. That's really important. We need to invest in the fight against drugs. The fight against drugs is not a cheap fight. We also do know the United States of America and Europe have been fighting against drugs their entire lives, particularly coming from Mexico and Colombia and all of those places. And they're still fighting today. And they are more sophisticated than we are. So it's definitely a difficult fight, and we need to put a lot of resources in it. We need to bring all hands on deck, including technology, to fight and intelligence and cooperation, collaboration to fight in the fight against in the war against drugs in Liberia.
Thank you, Alfonso. If you just joining us, welcome to the Issues Room. The Issues Room is here on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, once a week, and we encourage you to please share our link, join us, love us, like us. Alfonso and I are here on this day. Um, Today, Alfonso, we know of Finda Bondo, right? Uh, Being sent to Monrovia Central Prison as ordered by Judge Usman Fekai, I believe. There was a $8 million bond for her, but I don't know if they were able to raise that amount. So we see her here in Hawaii. I mean, the rescue mother turned to prayer mother. Uh, Liberia is a dramatic country, my brother. Let me see if I can get to to the clip. Um, oh goodness gracious. Okay. Um, mm, mm. All right. Here we go. So you're the dramatic mother, right? So let's hear from what is there, and I think this is credit to Spoon Network because I think the journalist Diamond Slanger is the one who's doing the narrative, and let's just hear from them from their network, and we'll come back. Uh,
That she be arrested immediately. She's flanked by D. Maxwell Sakemea, Kai Fale, former superintendent of Grand Chida County, her lawyer, and she is wearing all white. They are knocking on the gate of the Monrovia Central Prison. The sheriffs are here, and they are about to take her. The gate is about to be opened. Her lawyer did say they're working on a new bond, but Finabondo, as you can see, is now being taken. Once these gates are opened, she will be taken into the Monrovia Central Prison on locals update. So that the gate has been opened and Madam Bondo makes her way in to the Monrovia Central Prison. There you have it, folks. Finabondo is in. Her lawyer is trying to make his way in. There you have Madam Nora Finabondo. So she's currently in the Monrovia Central Prison. She is no longer a free person as of now until a new bond can be filed and approved by the court. So there the sheriff is taking her, and Nora Finabondo moves in with her lawyer. Even the former foreign affairs.
Alfonso, look at
Yeah.
look at the nation's central prison. They got one big blue people barrel with water they catching from the rain, zinc shack. What wrong with us, my man? What wrong with us? How can anything be taken seriously in that country? Our national central prison from long before I was born remains the same dingy, ugly place. But the rescue mother goes there. They say, you know, she is facing charges on money laundering, theft of property, misuse of public money, criminal conspiracy, forgery, criminal facilitation. These are a lot of charges. And you saw how this lady lived in the 6 years. It was not hidden. Fina was everywhere with George Weah. Fina was the Gucci girl, going to Italy, going to Rome, riding first class. You know, I mean, people were to see Weah, they had to go through her. She was the conduit. So when you have all of that proximity, then what happens? Yes, there is a high possibility. Being alleged is one thing, but sometimes the lifestyle can portray it the overnight gathering of wealth can portray it. So what do you make of it? What your research and your legal mind tells you with her condition right now and where she goes to central prison like a mother going to pray. No, they're gonna take that weight off from her. I think you told me today, and they're gonna put her in her a prison uniform, and she's gonna be having discussion with Prophet Key and the rest of the prisoners there, and it becomes a new life until they can
Yeah,
raise the bond and make a case.
yeah. It's a safety issue for her and for other people, to allow her to remain in white lapa suit and all of that. Because those are things that got choke rigs, hang rigs, so people can use it and hang themselves, hang other people, choke rigs. So that's why when you go to prison, they make sure to take all of those things away and give you their own stuff that has limited risk of causing harm. So yes, all of that will likely to be changed into something else, not the white lapa suit and that type of thing. But beyond that, you're correct. She's accused of very serious financial crimes. And if she's found guilty, a number of things could happen. She could spend a very long time in prison, and she could forfeit some of the property that they believe she was able to gather from corrupt practices. How also, I think the critical aspect that a lot of people might not be looking at here is that you talk about it, her proximity to leadership in the country. She was chief of protocol to the executive mansion and to the president. How did she come into possession of all of the monies that we saw her utilizing? How did we come into did she come into possession of the money that used utilized to build all of the things that she built, that she was spending around? You know, giving young people, dishing out money in the streets on ATS and all of that. How did she come into possession of all of that? So I would say if I were advising prosecution or even just in the ear of prosecutors, I would start talking to her lawyers about a plea deal in which she could probably expose other people. Other people. So let's say if the crime she committed, she was convicted of all of them. Let's say she goes to jail for 20 years. I would be reaching out to her lawyers and say, hey, if she's able to provide us information or to testify against other people. Instead of 20 years, we can give her 5 years or 3 years or 4 years so that we can catch all the other people who participated in it. People do that all the times. So that is one angle that I have been thinking about right away. So in these criminal cases, in these corruption cases, that's what most prosecutors do, because you don't just want to grab one person and then let everybody else go. You need information to make sure that you break the cartel, because this is a cartel conspiracy. Who did she conspire with? Can she call names of people she conspired with? Who gave her the money? What was it intended for? Do all of those properties belong to her, or it was a fronting for other people? These are questions that I think that will come up, and the prosecution should be trying to raise at this point. And yeah, but it's a very, very serious case. She went to jail today because she posted two deficient bail bonds. The first bail bond was rejected by the prosecutors. The judge looked into it and said yes, it was deficient. She posted a second one that was also deemed deficient, and so they're saying go to jail until you raise $8 million bond before you can come out. If she cannot raise that, she's likely to remain there, except the judge makes a different decision. But she's likely to remain in there while the trial proceeds.
So what do you think this gonna go from where from all the information so far? Do you think that because people were complaining and the seditionists were crying that she was praising President Boakai, I believe for I don't know what he did, what intervention, for allowing her to bury her father. I'm not sure what all of that was about. I
Mhm.
couldn't really understand what she was saying because the noise,
Yeah.
yeah, the quality of
audio.
of the video or audio was very poor. But it sounded like yes, that's what happened. And do you think that it's not going to go anywhere? Because Samuel Tour was on Spoon the other day bragging that he can take the whole government down. The government will collapse. He got information and da 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 da. And I mean, what's going on,
I,
Alfonso?
I think the decentralized nature of prosecutions in Liberia is a good thing. So let's say if you just had a few prosecutors at the Justice Ministry prosecuting everybody, it might be easier to influence or to bribe them. Might be easier to bring political influence or bribery to bear on them. But it's decentralized. So the Fenabondo prosecution, for example, is being carried out by the Asset Recovery Task Force. So let's say if the president or anybody else wanted to compromise the case, they will have to go and talk to those people. They have to go and talk to those prosecutors. And the more people you talk to about about corrupt deeds, the more you expose yourself to being exposed. So that's why I think it's important that these things are decentralized. So take for instance, you have a judge in Grand Jide who's handling a case, you have a judge in Sino who's handling a case. It's difficult to go and corrupt them as opposed to if you have one judge handling all of the cases. So the decentralized nature I think will help in some of these cases in moving them forward and making sure that the outcome is in the interest of the country and the people. I think I listened to Councillor Martin, who is the head of the asset recovery, and I listened to the his press conference, and I think from what he said he has really solid evidence to prove the money trail regarding these cases. So he probably has a strong case. But as we said, Ms. Bondo is not guilty until proven so. I'm sure she already has defense lawyers, and they will go and argue her case, and that's the beauty of our justice system. Although it's frustrating and it's very slow, and it can be very corrupt at times.
Thank you, Alfonso. So our last topic tonight here has to do with the arrest of 15 jurors. Those jurors were attached to the Samuel Toy corruption case, and today um, they were arrested. And I think I have a clip here. Let me try to find that clip quick. Um, okay. All right. But before that, it says here, Judge Usman Fakai ordered the arrest of all 15 jurors who served in the high-profile corruption trial of former finance minister Samuel D. Toy Jr. as part of the court's investigation into alleged jury misconduct and possible jury tampering. The order follows an inquiry triggered from 3 jurors who alleged that members of the jury violated the word is sequestration rules, used mobile phones while serving, attended social gatherings during the trial, had unauthorized communications with people outside the jury, may have been exposed to improper outside influence during the deliberations. Judge Feka reported actions include ordering all 15 jurors taken into custody for questioning, opening contempt and jury misconduct proceedings, directing an investigation that may include reviewing CCTV footages, phone records, and testimony from court personnel to determine whether the integrity of the trial was compromised. The investigation does not automatically mean the jurors are guilty of jury tampering. The purpose of the proceedings is to determine whether any law laws rather, or court rules were violated, and whether any misconduct affected the verdict. The case is significant because it could establish an important legal precedent in Liberia regarding judicial authority to investigate alleged juror misconduct after a verdict, the circumstances under which a verdict may be challenged because of alleged jury irregularities, and the accountability of jurors who violate their oath or code rules. So, here's the scene. So, Alfonso, these things the people take for granted. I have performed jury duty in America. It's not ordinary. I go into jail because I perform for Liberia. I go into jail because I perform. Is that where they took all the people from and put them on something to where juror, my man, so women? Where they came from? I don't know that so women or what.
So,
But
man.
but you compromising these if these things, and it's possible because a lot of these things that I just read here with regards to what could have possibly take place, which of course is alleged, that's why they're all being carried for questioning, but it's highly possible because of how our community takes everything for granted. People who go on that kind of advanced level, cases of that magnitude, you can be ordinary in the public and go into club and all over the place. That is why you will take time away from your job. They will pay you for it, right? When you do jury duty in America, right? You will give a paper to the job. They will give you. They take it seriously. I don't even know what's going on over there, and now they taking this other context that it becoming politicized again. I was working for Liberia, and now going to jail. But man, you the man who I can give my head to when it comes to the legal thing. Tell me what's the optics here with regards to this, and is the judge in the right for taking this action?
So first of all, people who work from Liberia can go to jail. There's nothing that prevents anybody who works for Liberia from going to jail. You go to jail when you do wrong, or when you are accused of doing wrong. They send you to jail. So I work for Liberia is no excuse, and there's no protection for not going to. Fenabondo worked for Liberia. She probably spending the night in jail today. So let's take that off the table right away. Our justice system says that people are entitled to jury trial, and they must be tried by a juror of their own peers. And that is the reason why jurors are picked from communities, from amongst the people. That is why we don't go to law schools to pick jurors. That is why we don't go to medical schools, even though some of them might be in a jury pool. But we pick jury from among the people because the law says people should be tried by jurors of their own peers. That is the law, and that is why.
So interpret the term own peers. What that means for non-legal minds.
Mhm. Basically, ordinary people, ordinary citizens. Your peers are your ordinary citizens, not necessarily because you're a doctor, so your peers must be doctors. No, Your classification is that you are a citizen of the country. So as a citizen of the country, other citizens sit in trial of you. That's what the law says, and that is the reason why we go and pick people from the communities to be jurors. I don't know what the system is in Liberia in terms of identifying people to be jurors. Here, for instance, you say you serve on the jury, to send you a communication. They'll say, hey, it's time for you to come and serve. They'll have a big pool and people will go, they will interview people, they'll have different reasons why they pick people, why they don't take people. But the two sides, the prosecution and the defense, participate in the selection of jurors as well, to make sure that they don't pick people who are biased against one side or the other, or whose beliefs or views do not run contrary in any way, in a way that would jeopardize justice. Now, let's go back to the investigation by the court of jurors. Jurors can be investigated. They definitely can be investigated by the court, because whatever the tampering, there are many ways to tamper with jury. What did they do? Did they just have communications with people telling them, providing them information? Were they providing information to people outside who could then, of their deliberations? Because that's a serious violation. Were they telling their colleagues or telling other people who would now go and tell the defense or the prosecution, or just tell other people? The reason they are sequestered is so that that doesn't happen. But if you're violating this sequestration by still communicating with the outside, that's a violation. Another form of jury tampering could be bribery, where they're being bribed, where people passing bribes around. If people bribe them, whoever did, now two crimes have been committed here. And in addition to the tampering, now there's a bribery case, that could also be brought to bear. And the people who committed the bribery or the tampering could be separately prosecuted as well for doing that, because that's a violation of the law also. I listened to Arthur Johnson, who's the defense lawyer for Mr. Tua, because I think part of Judge Faikai's ruling is that the trial should be held all over again. He has his own arguments and claim, but the way to do it is to go back to the Supreme Court and say, "Hey, we think the judge erred in this matter," and let the Supreme Court make a ruling as to whether or not the judge erred as it relates to.
Was there a different judge who?
It's the same thing.
Okay, so he gonna take
Yeah,
he gonna humble himself.
yeah.
Okay.
So this case did go to the Supreme Court before, actually, and Torres lawyers argued that the judge didn't have jurisdiction, that he shouldn't even oversee this process. And Supreme Court said, go back and you'll have the process. You can still reserve your arguments, and after the investigation, if you still think that they're valid, you can come back to us. So they still do have a chance to go back to the Supreme Court. But I think Liberia has a very serious systemic problem of jury tampering. It's long lasting. It ain't just that, and that has been responsible for people, the poor people, not being able to get justice. That's been responsible for the wealthy people going and getting off a lot of times. So I think it's extremely important for us to strengthen our jury selection system, for us to make sure, like, I don't understand how a jury was sequestered and they were still communicating and bringing cell phones and all of that. All of those things need to be strengthened to prevent this type of thing from going forward and from happening again.
But how could they allow them to carry cell phone as
So
part of
so so
the
so we
process to
don't
bring
so
those
we
things
don't
outside?
so we don't know if they carry the cell phones on themselves. I think that's why this investigation need to be deeper. Maybe when they were entering, they probably didn't go with cell phones. Maybe somebody brought cell phones to them. Maybe somebody went with their cell phone and allowed them to talk on their cell phone to other people. We Again, I would like to see the facts of this investigation, to see what led Judge Fakai to arrest all 15 and send them to jail. It's important to see the facts.
I think they were talking,
Yeah.
and like it's clear that they were talking. They said according to three of them, came out and said, all these things happen.
Mhm.
But Alfonso, man, good show here tonight. It's 8:07. We covered, three important topics. Today's incident involving another drug bust in the country, with two foreigners involved, one Spanish and Colombian, and 15 jurors ordered arrested by Judge Usman Fekai for alleged jury tampering, and rescue mother, now prayer mother, Finabondo, Nora Finabondo, goes to jail at South Beach. Um, Anything you want to add before we wrap up, brother?
No, I really think that the drug bust today was significant. I think anybody who has evidence regarding that and information should really come out and give tips to the police and to LDEA. I believe they have tip centers where people can provide tips. I think the fight against drugs need to include and involve every citizen in the country who's well meaning. I also think that we should be careful not to just throw things out there and muddy the water.
I also want to give credit quick to Spoon Network for the clip we carried and Front Page Africa um, um, for the clip we carried, because those were the two sources for which we were able to provide some evidence as to what transpired today with photographs and videos. Um, but again, thank you to all of you who came here tonight. I'd like to say Kuda Williams, it's good to have you here. Please come again, share our podcast, invite others to love us like us. Bach Miller, thank you, my brother, for showing up. Of course, our own friend and brother who is an avid viewer, supporter of the Issues Room, Thomas Awaji in ATL. Thank you, Thomas, for coming. Flomo Livingstone, of course. Thank you for always availing yourself. BCTV in Buchanan Live, thank you for coming here tonight and joining us here. We also like to say thank you to Johnson Morris Kelvin, who's watching up from Robertsfield Highway. Thank you, my brother, for picking up signal on that end. Of course, Kali Pator, Kali, he says the Fulani and Nigerian are the big traffickers in the country. This is B. Can LIB law enforcement count on this information with evidence? I mean, sometimes you act like you're from another planet. Go in Liberia. You know our own news is local, right? So we took the news from the local community. The people talk about the thing. You see the drug bust going on in the country. This one is just a big one, but plenty of drug busts that have been going on. You see who were involved. Let's go to Harvey Sugar Odell, watching from Monrovia. Thank you for joining us here. You're always on the show. Appreciate it. Dr. Jones Marley, from the Mass area in New England. Thank you for joining us here tonight. And let me see, Samatia. Thank you also, another committed viewer to the show. Aaron Queer, thank you for joining us. Um,
Raymond Clark.
yeah, Raymond Clark, thank you. Um, yeah, so, and everyone else who showed up here tonight, we appreciate your viewership. Continue to love us, like us, as I said, and follow us. We'll be back here next Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. But I will be here on Thursday with the not the issues room, but the Volcano Shelton show. Hopefully, I don't know if Alfonso has some time. Maybe he may spin by, if possible, but it's okay. We'll be prepared with another conversation. Until then, thanks to everyone for showing up. My man Raymond Clark says, great topic. Yes, Raymond. It's all about our country, man. We got to continue doing this. Alfonso, I know
Yep.
you got things to do. Let me let you go, and we'll be back here next Tuesday, God's willing.
Thank
Thanks
you,
to everyone.
Volcano. Thank you. And thanks to all our viewers. Share the link so even for people who didn't watch live can also look at it. I think it's important. I would say, as we usually do, if you have any suggestions, send them our way as well. Thank you. Have a good night. Yeah.